Welcome everyone back to weekly weather updates, and in today's video we're going to have a look at the latest from the live radar, have a look at the weather warnings. You do actually have a yellow rain and wind warning issued for East Anglia. This period of very unsettled weather is a developing area of low pressure that is going to really severely impact parts of northern Europe into Scandinavia through tonight into tomorrow. On its back edge it could bring some of those severe impacts into East Anglia. So yes, we'll have a look at weather warning that is issued there for tonight. Then we'll have a look at the UK view, look at the precipitation and the temperature over the next 5 days, as it is remaining fairly unsettled, but through Friday, perhaps to Sunday, it's looking like we're going to see some hot conditions return as we see a plume of hot and humid air. However, through Saturday afternoon, it is looking likely that the low pressure that is drawing up that southerly wind will start to push in, and this will bring the chance of some big and perhaps severe thunderstorms through Saturday afternoon into the evening in some regions, especially in the east. So we'll be able to have a look at that as well today. We'll also have a look at the longer range, look at the GFS, GEM, ECWF, and the ensembles to see what is going to happen perhaps as we head through the first half of July, as it is looking likely to remain fairly unsettled. Those temperatures pretty up and down. Cool at the moment, perhaps very hot later this week into the weekend, and perhaps cooling down once again as we do head into the next working week. So do remember, if you enjoy my videos, make sure you like and subscribe, and remember to follow me on Twitter as well, the link's in the description. So you look on the live radar at the moment, we do have two areas of interest. We've got this big weather front that is stretched across most of southern England into parts of the Midlands and East Anglia. And then we've got some heavy and some thundery showers breaking out through Northern Ireland, parts of the Republic of Ireland, Northern England and Southern Scotland. But if we do start with the weather front in the south, this is a developing area of low pressure, so this rainfall is getting more organised by the hour. Again, this started out as showers earlier with some persistent rain in the southwest, but it is filling in now into a larger system as it does spread northeastwards. Now the centre of the low is out through northern France, and it is developing as we speak. And as I said, as it does move out into the North Sea up towards Denmark and Scandinavia, it was going to whip up into quite a severe system, very stormy conditions. And we saw last week, I did highlight in some of the videos the potential for stormy conditions for the UK. Now that stormy potential did decrease, but it didn't diminish in existing. It just moved its positioning, and the stormy conditions are out towards Scandinavia over the next couple of days. So UK luckily missing out on that, but still staying fairly unsettled with a westerly flow. So this low pressure is developing, and that's why it is quite uncertain what will happen through the rest of this afternoon and evening in terms of intensity of rainfall, but it's highly likely it's pretty much washout conditions for southern eastern England through the rest of the afternoon into the evening, and for East Anglia could persist all the way into the early hours of the morning as well. Got a yellow warning issued there, as this is only going to get more severe. Wind gusts are only going to increase, and perhaps rainfall intensity only going to get higher and more organised as this system does develop and mature. Further northwards, we've got a smattering of heavy, thundery showers. Again, some red colours appearing here, so some torrential rainfall, and some of these are slower moving and pop up, so are going to produce perhaps some quite horrible conditions in some localised regions. But there is still plenty of drier weather around, but it's not going to be bone dry for most through today. There will be some dry periods between the south and the east. Not looking like to see much dry conditions the rest of the day, and if you're in Northern Ireland, Southern Scotland, Northern England, then likely to continue to see these heavy showers continue before they do degrade away later this afternoon into the evening. Now, with all of this rain around and thick cloud associated with it, temperatures are pretty much abysmal today. The best temperatures are through parts of northern England and the North Midlands, where we do have less in terms of rainfall and cloud. Here temperatures peaking at 18 to 20 degrees. Elsewhere through central southern England, really struggling around the mid-teens. Elsewhere, mid to high teens. Really not great. A good 5 to as high as potentially 10 degrees below average for the time of year. Really chilly and really horrible out there through the rest of today. Tomorrow's not looking much better in terms of overall conditions, but it should there should be less persistent rainfall, which will allow those temperatures to rise more widely towards those higher teens, maybe 20 degrees. So tomorrow should be better, but still will be on the cool side. Now, the reason for all this heavy rain is because we've got warm air to our south, cooler air wrapping around in the northern side of this low pressure, and it's developing it through the English Channel, and the UK is unfortunately on the cooler side, and that is why you can see only a few hundred miles away, it is up to the mid to high 20s across parts of Central and Northwestern Europe, but the UK really struggling at the moment. If we do go over to the weather warnings, just have a look at this weather warning that we've got for East Anglia. From 9 p.m. tonight until 6 a.m. tomorrow, there's a small chance that heavy rain and strong winds will cause some flooding and disruption through Tuesday night. It's because this low pressure system is just going to intensify. And an unseasonably deep area of low pressure is expected to bring disruption to parts of continental Europe on Wednesday. For the UK, the most likely scenario is for some heavy overnight rain and strong coastal winds across eastern England, clearing early on Wednesday without impacts. However, there's a small chance that rainfall will become much heavier for a longer period across parts of East Norfolk and East Suffolk, producing 50 to 100 millimetres of rain in 6 hours, bringing the risk of flooding and disruption, and there's a small chance of 50 to 60 mile per hour gusts near the coast. So again, it's all down to positioning and the intensity of the low. There's no doubt that the low is going to get intense. It's going to produce those very strong gusty winds for parts of Europe, and it's going to produce that extremely heavy rainfall for parts of Europe as well, but it's whether it will just clip East Anglia through the later tonight into the morning. That is the uncertainty, and it all does depend on positioning, and it's 50 miles here or there, which is very difficult to forecast for this sort of intense system that is only just developing now, or only really developing into its mature form. So we'll have to see what happens this evening. But if you're in these regions, do take care and do keep an eye on the live radars. That's the best way to know if this big low pressure system, is going to sit close by and give those intense conditions. Now, if we do look at the UKV now, we'll be able to see the development of this low through the rest of today. Again, we can't see exactly what happens across Northern Europe because it's off the UKV's chart, but we have to see the impacts perhaps across East Anglia. So you can see through this morning, it was just a few showers and an organised area of rain starting to approach the southwest, but it got severe early this afternoon, developing into a quite a strong weather front, and will continue through this evening into the southeast. Some torrential rainfall potentially, and through this evening you can see how it could linger through East Anglia. And you can see the wrap in this around the low pressure system could linger there to the early hours. You can see those yellow and red, orangey colours indicating very high rainfall rates. It does likely spread away for most wake up, and you see through tomorrow afternoon it's another day of sunshine and showers. Again, some of these could be heavy and thundery, but most look light to moderate in intensity. Again, it will be cool in places, again westerly flow, but probably better than today in most regions. As we head through to Thursday, we do see another weather front approaching, and very intense this, and could give some flooding issues for Northern Ireland, Republic of Ireland, and maybe Western Scotland. But this low is going to get halted just off the coast of the Republic of Ireland, and it's going to draw up that very hot air from the south. See, the weather front makes very little progress and actually just fizzles out and almost goes backwards there through Friday as hot, humid air spreads in from the south and could give some very hot conditions for some on Friday, and the hottest conditions perhaps through Saturday for thunderstorms roll in from the west, and you can see a line of storms developing here through the early afternoon. By 3 p.m, the UKV does have them degrading away in places. Again, this will be due to timings, so we'll have to see exactly what happens, but nevertheless, thunderstorms are forming around that lunchtime period before moving away during the afternoon, and then Sunday things are fresher with a more Atlantic air mass. We can see this at the moment. The upper air temperatures are not too bad through the rest of this week, slightly below average, but by Thursday you can start to see the hotter air starting to approach from the south and really taking over through Friday. So Friday didn't look that hot a couple days ago, but it is look likely now that hotter air timing has just been brought forward by 6 to 12 hours. So Friday afternoon could be a hot one in the south and the east. We'll have to see those 2 meter temperatures in a minute, and that hot air will intensify for Saturday, where it could be really, really hot. Maybe 17 or 80 degree isotherm. That would give temperatures in the low 30s, but whether we'll see the low 30s is difficult to say. Again, Low 30s would definitely be seen if this was, or even mid 30s would be seen if this air mass stuck around, but it really is only transient, moving through very quickly in the space of 12 to 24 hours. So we'll be uncertain exactly how much of it will filter down to the surface, but it gets swept away with much fresher air in time for Sunday, but still could linger in the Far East, giving maybe still some hotter conditions in places. Of course, the dew point, it's quite a hot, humid air mass, because that dew point's peaking through Saturday afternoon at 20 degrees. So regardless if you do see thunderstorms impacting you, it's going to feel oppressive out there. Those are insanely high dew points, anything over 20 degrees, and it's going to feel like we're in the tropics. Truly, truly high dew points, and making it, as I said, with those temperatures probably peaking around the 30-degree mark. Really, really horrible out there. Again, many of you will know this already, but there is a big difference between a dry heat and a humid sticky heat, and that's why sometimes 25 degrees in a rainforest can feel hotter than 35 degrees if you're in a desert where it's very dry. And that's because in the drier air you're able to sweat more, and that sweat evaporates. But if it's really humid and you sweat, that sweat has nowhere to go, just keeping you very hot and sticky, make you feel worse. And that's why, yes, temperatures do matter a lot, but also those humidity levels and of course the dew point associated with that is very important. So yeah, Saturday might not look too crazy on the thermometer. 30 degrees, still hot, but nothing ridiculous. But these dew points appearing here, making it feel very oppressive. And of course, all that humidity in the air will just fuel those thunderstorms. We have a look at the mixed level Cape through Saturday, and you can see a very intense band of Cape developing on the UKV here through the afternoon of Saturday. Again, we'll have to see exactly how it does take off. But again, Cape levels perhaps getting from 1500 to 2000 joules per kilogram. Again, on the middle of the chart here, but very rarely do we get much above 2000 or 2500. I think we got to 2500 in some of those storms through June, and we saw how those went. So still could be the risk of some big storms here, but it still is 4 or 5 days away, so we will just have to keep a very close eye on it. If you look at the max temperatures, you can see that today it's cold. Many areas in the south struggling around the mid to low teens. Midlands, Northern England, perhaps peaking at 20 degrees. I saw the latest observation is about 20 degrees in 2 or 3 spots. So yeah, a little bit down on actually what the UKV is showing here. So yeah, a pretty miserable early July day as we are approaching really the peak of the year in terms of temperatures. July really is the hottest month in general. It's where we have our temperature records. It's where we generally have the hottest overall conditions and have primed conditions for hot weather. It is truly cold out there. Again, it's on the equivalent level if we saw mid to high teens in mid-January, which has happened in the last few years, but it's on that same sort of level where it is 10 plus degrees above average in January. This is 10 plus degrees below average, especially towards the London region where it's 23, 24 degrees. It's the average July high. And look here, we're seeing 12 to 14 degrees. Very cold today. Luckily, it will improve for tomorrow. You can see those temperatures widely touching 18 to 21 here, as we do see less rainfall. Still some cloud and some showers around, but less of this persistent rainfall will mean those temperatures will widely be back towards the high teens or low 20s. If you move to Thursday, touching up a little bit, 20 to 23, so on that climb, and by the time we get to Friday, things are getting much warmer, maybe high 20s or even touching 30 degrees somewhere across the East Midlands into Northeast England. Hot conditions starting to return, and come Saturday, it'll be very uncertain exactly how high those temperatures do get because of the thunderstorms. Here though, showing similar temperatures to Friday, 28 to 30 degrees. By 3 p.m, those temperatures starting to drop because of the cloud and thunderstorms. But it's difficult to see here, but if you just look right down to the bottom right of the screen here, you can see across northern France we're seeing temperatures in excess of 36 degrees, and that's the sort of conditions that we could see if this air mass persisted and we didn't see thunderstorms. But no, instead we are seeing thunderstorms, so those temperatures probably will be limited towards that sort of 28 to 30 degree range. But if we do have those thunderstorms a little bit more delayed, I wouldn't be surprised if we saw a 31 or 32 somewhere across eastern England, considering how strong those upper air temperatures are. So yes, the end of this week is going to be hot and very oppressive as well. Sunday though, luckily, like it will cool down a little bit once again. So a very up and down week. Starting this week cold, especially today, and very rainy. Ending the working week Friday into Saturday with hot conditions, hot and humid conditions, and perhaps some severe thunderstorms. Now, if we do move over to the longer range, have a look at the GFS, GM, Eastern WF, and the ensembles. You can see the northerly wind coming in at the moment, and that developing area of low pressure that's giving very stormy conditions through Denmark and Scandinavia through tomorrow. For the rest of this upcoming week, we stay pretty unsettled with a westerly flow, but you can see through Friday we're drawing up that southerly wind, hot air moves in. But low pressure does move back through on Saturday afternoon. We are getting into that lower pressure and cooler air mass once again, so it will be turning unsettled and cooler. Low pressure does truly sweep through towards the middle of next week, around the 12th or 13th of July, so things are going to go back unsettled. But you can see the low pressure is again approaching from the west, and it could draw up some hotter air once again as we do head beyond that. But no signs of anything severely hot and sustained at all, just generally very up and down, oscillating between air masses and days of very unsettled weather, but equally probably some days of something drier as well. If you compare to the GM out towards day 10, again very unsettled the next couple of days. Eventually southerly winds prevail on Friday, dominating to Saturday before we eventually see low pressure sweep through, giving those thunderstorms. Beyond that, into Monday, low pressure truly does move through, and that would be unsettled. And all the way to day 10, we're seeing a west-northwesterly wind, and again cooler air moving in, but nothing especially cold, just generally below average for the time of year. If you look at the ECM WF, once again very similar, low pressure dominating at the moment. That severe low moves out towards Denmark as it develops through this evening, and then generally the southerly wind comes through for Friday into Saturday before low pressure does sweep through with its weather front. You can see the hot air getting shoved out into the North Sea by this point at 15 plus degree ice from getting shoved away, and then generally we are into cooler Atlantic air, but there's always the risk of a low pressure system getting just developing just on the edge of the jet stream here and producing another low pressure system drawing up very hot air on its eastern edge. Again, that could happen next week. Have to keep a very close eye on it. We see that on the ensembles here, the latest GFS ensembles. If we have a look at that first, you'll be able to see the big peak this weekend up towards 15 degrees at 850 HPA, about 7 or 8 degrees above average. And you see at the moment we are around 5 degrees below average, and again feeling colder because of the rain and cloud. Drier through the rest of this week until Saturday from the GFS ensembles here, but still likely to be a few showers in places, and London even impacted by a few showers, just not showing here on the low resolution ensembles. Beyond the hot weather this week, as I said, it returns to average and pretty much stays around average. Some runs going hotter in the longer term, some cooler, and again this is this oscillating pattern, but remaining fairly unsettled. That is a persistent pattern here. The temperatures really up and down. Look at that, high 20s, maybe touching 30 degrees this weekend, before plunging back down to the low 20s or high teens early next week, before generally being more towards the low 20s. As it does look likely, the upper temperatures will be around the average point in the longer term, not below average like we have at the moment. And you can also have a look at the dew points, again peaking this weekend. Again, doesn't look like a massive peak, but it's around 5 plus degrees dew points, and even some getting up towards the higher dew points here. And again, not always going to be reflective of what will happen in reality because the resolution is low here, so locally it could be higher. But regardless, pretty oppressive dew points coming in this weekend. And if we just finish by looking at the ensembles, again you can see big peak this weekend up towards 15 degrees at 850 HPA, and then trending back towards average with many runs either side. Some hotter runs, some cooler runs, and generally a lot of precipitation. So it is going to remain fairly cool and fairly unsettled in the longer term. Again, not quite as cold at the moment, but probably nothing spectacular as we do head through the middle of July at this stage. But things could very very quickly crop up, just like we're going to see some very hot weather for 2 or 3 days later this week, and the risk of some big thunderstorms. So we'll have to just see what the rest of July does play out. But it's not. But the cooler, very unsettled weather that we have at the moment is likely to end at the end of this week. Yes, it is likely to be more unsettled through the middle third of July, or at least remain unsettled through the middle of July, but isn't likely to be as cool as it is now, with more warmer air masses influencing us. So anyway, thanks for watching. Hope you have enjoyed. Make sure you stay safe if you're in East Anglia tonight, and of course keep up to date with the videos and relevant warnings and forecasts for this weekend, as things could be quite lively in terms of temperatures through Friday and Saturday, and with the thunderstorms on Saturday as well. So as I said, thanks for watching. Hope you have enjoyed. Subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you again for another video soon.